Hello and welcome again. This is Play Casket. This is episode 2. I am Paraka, and
I am Ghost.
alright, we are going to go ahead and talk about a couple of things today that are more about like what has happened in this past week, and we're going to talk about what could be the potential futures of going forward. One of them is actually going to be pretty interesting and actually promising for a lot of other talent out there outside of Sony's own realm, because Sony decided that they looked at their feet and saw that there was too little holes and decided to put a bunch of bullets through them to make sure they could fit through Legos. One of the things that's going on right now is they kind of announced a figurative shutter on Japan Studios, somebody that was actually relatively known for Ape Escape. That's going to be a very personal problem with me, and stuff such as The Last Guardian, and like they did some background work for a lot of the other new games that people have seen them do.
They also published Bloodborne 2, or Bloodborne 1. So as of Bloodborne 2, we don't know where they're going to be at yet. From Software is still going to be around, but Japan Studios were the ones who published the majority of it.
I will say this. I don't think the publishing will be too much of an issue. I think we'll probably see something like a hiccup.
Okay. Well, I don't even know if they even started it yet. Supposedly people are saying... Well, no, they didn't even announce anything, so...
Yeah, no, they just confirmed it kind of like exists in the ether somewhere. Like, you know, kind of like a good version of Duke Nukem. And it was just like, it exists, guys, trust me, you know, because I know a guy that knows a thing that was an uncle at Nintendo, and he knows that Bloodborne 2 is working out there. He is also used to be Miyamoto's coffee mug, too, so, you know we can trust him. But, like, even if it exists, like, it exists in some level, I do not see it ultimately being canceled. I do see a lot of, like, trouble with it. Yeah. So we're probably going to see, honestly, I wouldn't even put it past Sony to consider a different studio by this point to develop Bloodborne 2.
Yeah.
Like, I really do not, I would not put it past them. Just because, like, if they're going to be making such drastic shifts in the middle of something that could be even in planning stages, I wouldn't put it past them for even just deciding, you know what? We're going to go ahead and make Sucker Punch do it next.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's just... With them closing down, I kind of wish they had the IP of Ape Escape. I'd love to see another Ape Escape.
Let's just run off with it. Yeah. No, I'll be okay with that. They'll be like, guess what? We're going to make an indie studio that's going to have half the budget of the original Ape Escape, but we're going to make it. And I'm going to be like, okay.
They should do it. If they team up with, like you said, like we were predicting, or at least you were predicting, if they do team up with, if they do get recruited with Monolith Soft or
yeah, that was another thing. Yeah,
anything with Nintendo, you know, if they do Ape Escape, maybe we could see a Donkey Kong collaboration. Do it.
I like if they did a collaboration with Donkey Kong, I could see like Nintendo going like, guess what? They were all toys. None of these monkeys were ever hurt. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds exactly what Nintendo would actually do. But there was a couple excerpts that we highlighted. I think we should cover up on before we jump into the whole Monolith Soft stuff.
So if you wish to read along, our source is Bounding Into Comics. When Sony announced closure of Japan Studios, will shift resources to global PlayStation Studio teams. Let's see. Related policy banning dismemberment revealed by CyberConnect 2 CEO and discussion about Demon Slayer. So this censored the shit out of the game too. Let's see. As of February 25th, later that same day, Sony confirmed that Japan Studio would be reorganized, writing in a statement given it to IGN that in an effort to further strengthen business operations, SIE can confirm PlayStation Studios Japan will be reorganized into a new organization on April 1st.
Okay, so with people keep saying that it was being closed, it's going to be basically what Microsoft did to Rare once they realized Kinect was a cool thing. And I think they're going to just take the studio and like reduce it to some weird app like Supercell of some kind and make it into something that's just like, can you budget and make this unique things to work with whatever we're gonna do with it? Like if there's a PlayStation Move thing, or if there's some kind of unique mechanic that they're going to introduce into like a peripheral that they're going to do in the future, they're probably going to just have Japan Studio do like the tech demo for it. That just tells me a lot that they do not have much of the team that was the creative development or the artistic development in the studio anymore as of April 1st. That tells me that they're going to, like they said, reorganize a lot of the company to just basically have the Stuart, look what I can do.
It just looks like a
the Astral Playroom. Yeah, Jesus no, that makes sense. Yeah, the Astral Playroom definitely makes sense. I could definitely see them just using that character as their brand name to it and just chug out all the tech demos of check out all the cool things the PlayStation 5 can do with all these free apps that don't do jack squat for your experience.
Yeah, so when most of the Japan Studio teams were given a chance to re-sign a contract, a lot of them said no and went their own ways. So, yeah, I don't know. See where they go, I guess.
Well, the thing is, like, they're stationed in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Right, and this is something you touched up on, and I kind of pointed out. Monolith is stationed in Tokyo, right? I know it's a big city, and I get that, but there's people who traveled across cities to work and stuff here in the U.S.
Come to Nintendo. We have success.
we have Donkey Kong Escape.
Oh man, that would be so fucking cool.
But no, honestly, like if anything, Monolith is currently hiring, so. Why I said that, it made sense because it is one of those things that basically it would be not out of the reason to expect that a lot of the studio would get hired up by Monolith Soft, and honestly I think a majority of them though, I do think they're going to probably try to start their own indie teams because they've probably seen the success Igarashi has had with Bloodstained. They saw the success of what's his face? Mega Man, Mighty Number 9.
Yeah.
Just when your new spiritual successor is so bad, you forget the creator. Like that is some shit
remember
right
Redash? There. Nobody remembers Redash. Don't bite off more than you can chew. You're just an indie.
Hey, this was successful. Please fund this other project we just decided to whip out of our ass.
At the very least, if you're Shovel Knight can do whatever the fuck they want because.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Shovel Knight could do a first-person shooter by this point. I'm like, I'm okay with that. Let's just see what that does. First-person shovel. Yes, work on it. We're gonna do it. Let's dig the graves. But I see. Going back to Sony because we're veering off again. I do think there's going to be a lot of like indie studios. I do think I could see a lot of them, and I could see several with Kickstarters.
Yeah,
like that is definitely something I can see. Like,
well, you think this is also the partial collapse of the AAA industry? It's been like.
I think that's one of the reasons. Like, I think that's why a lot of people are looking at. Indie scenes a lot more and a lot more closely because they're just running circles around EA, they're circling around Capcom, Sega. Even technically you can kind of argue with Nintendo, even though Nintendo is probably one of the few that still have B-class development teams just doing some oddball things that they're just going to throw out there every now and again. Like, not many other studios are doing that. Capcom is much smaller than what people think they still are. They are way small.
Can you just imagine the poor bastard who's paying, millions of dollars on his Lamborghini just to go shopping at the grocery store when you have this one guy who has, like, a a $500 car, and he's like, yeah, I get back and forth, and I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to worry about it breaking down. Yeah.
Got a hatchback, and then they're just like, well, my mom died in it, my grandfather died in it, my great grandfather built it. I guess I'm gonna die in it.
But it gets me to where I need to go.
Yeah. No, it's. I think what's going on is a lot of people want like huge end benchmark games when they're buying brand new systems. I mean, it makes sense that you want something to showcase the power you just invested yourself in. So it just makes sense that you need to make games to do that. But then you want games to sell even more. But if they can only sell to a certain market that hits a plateau, you are eventually considered a failure.
Yeah.
So when you have an indie studio that doesn't have to worry about that, they're going to do fuck all and just do anything. And then people are going to be like, yeah, I like that. Do some more of that.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to, like, since Japan, like the Japan studio, even with indie, like, where else are they going to go? They're going to probably, like, they'll focus a lot on PC because it's just easy to port to PC, even though everyone's drowning in themselves. You're going to probably see a lot of it go get some major support and major backing from Nintendo.
Yeah.
Because Sony is basically leaving Japan.
Yeah.
So it's making sense that, you know, you will probably see a lot more Nintendo. And it's not even like they won't even have to be tied with Nintendo. So it actually probably will benefit them a lot. Like, just imagine, from the creators from Japan Studio makes this unique pixel art game about emotions fighting emotions.
What do you think they could even use?
On a Nintendo system.
But do you even think they could use from Japan, previously Japan Studios?
I'm not sure. I don't know what other stuff that they're going to own. Okay. I honestly don't. Like, it's...
Well, I guess it depends on how bad of a foot they left. But,
well, that, and I think Sony likes to sit on things. Yeah. You know, like Legends of Goon. You remember that game? Huh, Sony?
I think they should just get From Software and the old Japan Studios to make Nintendo's Dark Souls for Nintendo. There you go. Damn, Nintendo wins. Holy shit.
What kind of game do you think Nintendo would need from a Dark Souls style game? Like, what type of thing would really stand out that's very Nintendo? Because I'm about to rant. I'm going to go ahead and do that thing. We had an issue like that with a certain XCOM type of game, and nobody liked it because nobody knew it existed. But if I told everybody without context, would you like a giant mech punching aliens, and that mech's shaped like the President of the United States, and it was all steampunk and based off of Tall Tales, and you had a pumpkin that blew the shit out of things? Yeah, you'd like that game too, but you didn't. You didn't play the game, and that's what we could have had. We could have had a Nintendo XCOM with a giant mech punching aliens, but we didn't get to have that anymore, because nobody knew it existed. Bastards. Play Codename Steam.
The weebs. It was the weebs. The weebs decided. What do you... Just look at the... Because... Let's see. Continuing the article is... related. Silent Hill and Gravity Rush director reveals... He left Sony in order to keep making games in his own style.
I do think he's probably going to be an independent studio. I almost guarantee it.
I've heard Japan Studio is going to be joining this guy too.
A lot of the art, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it at all. Yeah. But like if he's saying he wants to make his own games, his own style and stuff, he's going to probably be doing an independent studio. He is almost guaranteed to do that.
Okay. Let's see. According to VGC, as told by their sources, Japan Studios was a long time coming, as a studio allegedly simply hasn't been profitable enough in the recent years, as the developer wanted to create games that appeal to the Japanese market first with hopes of having global appeal, while PlayStation wants the kind of global hits that its other first-party studios produce.
Well, the problem with that is some of those games can only sell 2 million.
Yeah.
And 2 million is a good number.
Well,
the thing is, their budget, if they're expecting to sell 6 million with the budgets, and you're still only selling 2 million consistently, don't give them a $6 million budget.
Yeah.
Like that's all they have to do. Just make some smaller, more unique, more candid type games. Like Nintendo has some of those people. I think, what Bethesda used to. Mm-hmm. Bethesda kind of had somebody like that too, but not many other companies have that anymore.
Like their B budget studios.
Yeah, their B budget studios where they're just kind of in the background, kind of like they're usually used for assets. Like if they need to make some assets, but they're also making some oddball game out there. But like they're not taking too much of a concern because they're not doing anything major as a project. And then they're like, oh, what's this game? It's The Stretchers. Oh, that's cool. Let's kind of toss it out there and see if it sells. It's also a different Nintendo game that I think would have done pretty well, but it's not. It's one of those smaller games that it could sell probably a couple 100,000 and turn a profit. We saw a lot of that with the 3DS. With the Rolling Western games, the Pushmo or Pool Blocks game, those were fun games. Those were small budgets.
Was there ever anything on 3DS that came to Switch because it was so big?
Not yet. Okay. Not something like that. No.
Okay. So all I know is that we got lucky with Splatoon.
Yeah, they hit it out of the park with Splatoon, and I think it's kind of funny with Nintendo. Everybody keeps asking them for new IPs, but they bust out so many on a common basis. They just expect ones that are just going to be, a hyped up game that just sells millions and millions.
The next Pokemon?
The thing is, they want the next Pokemon. That is exactly right. They want the next Pokemon. But the thing is, if Nintendo knew what the next Pokemon would have done, wouldn't they have already done it?
Well, it goes back to Ocarina of Time. Thank God we have Breath of the Wild because people will shut up about Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, now I could listen to that 10 years now.
Now everybody's going to be, oh, it's not as good as Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. But as far as going all the way back to the rails, what do you think, if this studio wanted to do a Dark Souls style game, like this studio, or even get hired on Monolith Soft or something like that to make a Dark Souls style game, what would be something that would really resonate as a Dark Souls game? Because we have a lot of games that are like Dark Souls that in the terms of just absolute brutality.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about graphic brutality. I'm talking about the difficulty.
Route. I think they're going to go the Splatoon route where
condiments fighting condiments.
Something like that. Yeah, where it's if you break down Splatoon without the cartoony look, it's the world has been destroyed, and it's 3,000 years later, and it's gang territory warfare, and there's these other species outside of your characters that are on the brink of destruction. That's Splatoon. You know what I mean? So I think if they want to make a Bloodborne or a Dark Souls, it's going to be
a giant mech punching giant aliens.
Well, it's going to be something really, really dark, but you slap a fun coat of paint on top of it.
Yeah, but there's an interesting, unique mechanic with Splatoon tied to that, though. Yeah. That really changes how you play that game.
Yeah.
If it was just a colorful Call of Duty, it really wouldn't have taken off as much.
I know.
But what would be something that would just do that? Because they have the difficulty down.
Yeah.
There's a lot of companies out there doing other ones like Blasphemous, Dark Devotion, remastering the old Crash Bandicoot games. The
only thing I think of is if they're going to do a Dark Souls, they're going to do it in the Zelda universe.
No, I don't think they'll do it in another universe. If they're going to do something that's very Dark Soulsy and stuff, they'll probably do something that's like a new IP, so in case it does fail, it doesn't tarnish another existing IP. That's kind of why Wonderful 101 was encouraged to be Wonderful 101 instead of use Mario characters.
Yeah.
That way, if Wonderful 101 failed, they could just basically drop it like a hot rock without it becoming Mario's Time Machine.
Yeah.
Or CDI Zelda. So, there's that, right?
Yeah.
So what do you what would you like to see that in Dark Souls that, since I'm not too into Dark Souls. I've played games like them and stuff too. But what would you like to see in something like a Dark Souls game that you're like, man, it needs to be something more like this?
I don't know. Well, Well, one thing...
Just give me swords to stab other people.
I just like the exploration. It's very slow and steady content because they don't hold your hand. You just jump in and play, and then you slowly uncover secrets. So it's just done extremely well. I don't know how else to explain it.
Well, that's story stuff. That's cool. Yeah. I agree with that. Like I like stuff that's like play through your story, not to your story.
Yeah.
Like if they made a movie off of Final Fantasy VII, it would just be you killing a bunch of boars for like three hours before anything else good happens.
Well, that's why movies into video games never work, or video games into movies never work.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of hesitant on ever watching the Monster Hunter movie because if it doesn't have just random devil shows just fucking up everything every single time, then I don't want it. I don't.
It's an hour and 30 minutes of them just farming a brachydios to the gym.
They just constantly just go back to brachydios to find a fucking plate.
And it was like a field of dead brachydios.
One of them is just a devil show wearing brachiodos armor. Just really fucking people up sideways. So what else does the Pounding into Comics say about the Japan studio?
Okay, let's see. A separate source told them, a separate source also told the news outlet that the studio's fate has been sealed over a year ago. So basically, they probably cut their funding. I have a feeling they probably weren't told that they were going to get cut off, but most likely they saw a huge budget cut. With the departure of longtime Japan Studios president Alan Becker, who allegedly left due to frustration over the developers' lack of hits, while yet another source claimed that this decision by Sony was part of PlayStation shifting more power from its native Japan to its U.S. headquarters. Yeah, they're globalizing, or they're
trying to do a pseudo-global standardization of their content where they don't have to worry about adjusting anything remotely. They could just drag it across. So they're going to make everything so... I don't know. It's coming off as they're going to make stuff so mundane and not too scary, not too this, but also this, and try to hype it up. And then just drag it across and hope that everyone will have a worldwide release excitement, and it's just not. It's gonna deadpan.
Disneyfication, that stuff. Joss Whedon fucking hated working with Disney because when he did Age of Ultron, he was like, "I'm done," because it was you had to show death, but you can't shoot someone. You could show them dying this way, but you can't show them dying this way. And it's like, it's so restrictive, but you have to do it a certain way. It's a lot of people won't want to work with you if you're just going to be so restrictive on what you should do and what you can't do.
Yeah, that's one of the things why Nintendo failed a lot after the Super Nintendo, because they also tried to control the content and stuff. Not by the same degree of like, oh, you can't have this and this. It's just that you just can't have shitty fucking games on everything. It's one of the reasons why there was that whole like pirated copy black cartridges in the Nintendo era and stuff too. It's because people didn't want to listen to their like totalitarian nonsense. And then when the PlayStation came out, they were the exact opposite. So everybody was like, "Oh, this is going to be more flexible and stuff." And it benefited the industry in general because it literally like made people have a rival, and they're like, we want to have this, because even with Sega being the edgy teenager, nobody really wanted a lot to do with Sega.
Yeah, make
which is
good
weird.
Products, we all will win.
You know, and so Sony started doing it, and then Sony really kind of like courted a lot of the developers back then, and with that, because goddamn. It just made a lot of people like, we don't want to be under Yamauchi's foot all the time. And that's actually kind of a reason why Final Fantasy is the way it is right now. Because of that. They were able to be a lot more, like they were going to do a game that was very super traditionally medieval, like their previous games. Mm-hmm. And then Sony's like, nah, you can throw some sci-fi in there. I don't care. You know, like then they're like, oh, I got more freedom here and all this, and then people started expanding, and then Nintendo had to change their ways, but they wouldn't learn until maybe I would probably say about mid GameCube. And from there on, they started trying to court people back, and nobody was buying into it until probably recently. Like, they probably had some people in on board with the Wii U, but nobody was buying the Wii U, so nobody was willing to take that risk. Yeah. So I think after that, people were like, okay, let's see where the Switch goes. And then now that Switch is just taking off. Everybody's putting everything on it, except Codename Steam for some reason.
Let's see. A related report, censorship among key reasons PlayStation brand faces decisive decline in Japan. So, this ties back to why most of the people from Japan studios are leaving, because they're so restricted. Japan wants to make a more globally accepted audience, I guess. The closure of Japan studios is but the latest...
Sony or Japan?
Sorry. Sony's trying to make...
Okay. I was like, that was weird.
Sorry. A little nervous here. But the closure of Japan studios is but the latest confirmation that Sony has begun to sideline these Japanese audiences in favor of creating games with mass appeal. When you try to please everyone, no one's happy. No one's happy. The January Ace Research Institute's Hideki Yasuda wrote that the rampant censorship of Japanese titles had led the country's players to believe Sony and the CEO, Jim Ryan, have shown disregard for the Japanese market, which in turn has led the PlayStation brand facing a decisive decline. Yeah, Jim Ryan, you're full of shit. No, we haven't forgot the Japanese market.
Jim Ryan's strong ties comment really resonates with the EA and everyone. Unprecedented partnerships.
Like I said, don't fuck with the weebs. They're the ones who kept the PS3 alive.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, like, even with the PS3, like, they weren't like a lot of the studios that were making the weeb games, they just weren't making money anymore because it was so hard to develop for it. It cost so much resources for the PS3.
Yeah.
That their market wasn't profitable anymore.
Yeah.
It's probably why you see a lot of, like, Nippon Ichi Software just starting to get really close with Nintendo, because like their Disgaea series is starting to sell significantly way more on the Nintendo systems than their equal ports to Sony platforms. And now they have a exclusive with Sixth.
Yeah.
So that tells me that's a huge boon. And then I think from what I heard, Atelier Ryza sold equal parts on both the PlayStation and the Nintendo Switch, the first one. Mm-hmm. And supposedly the second one is a little bit ahead on the Switch market. And I think that's just because it's just such a niche title. It's really hard to gauge how much of a leap that's going to be. Mm-hmm. But the fact that everyone's kind of leaning towards the Switch, because not only is it portable, it's accessible and stuff like that. Nintendo, it sounds like Japan's just bowing, like Sony's just bowing out of Japan.
Yeah. And
with that, do you really think Microsoft's gonna cover up, dude? They sold like 3 consoles yesterday. Like, that's it. Ooh, you know.
Well, if you get your hands on one, dude, Jesus Christ, scalpers are just okay. Scalpers are buying all the PlayStation 5s, and then you got piles of games not being sold because people won't buy the games because they don't have a console, and the scalpers have all the consoles. It's like, you guys got to do something. I don't know what else to tell you.
They're not able to do much of anything because if they only have so many, they can only print out so many right now.
Yeah,
like that's all they can do. Like the whole Pokemon card thing too. They said they vowed to print more copies. That doesn't help with the fact that there's been like 3 other versions of stuff that will never go back into print.
Yeah.
So we're already kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here, you know? And that's the same thing with everything else. And like, I heard sports card companies are like, we're just going to keep quiet because it's actually selling our product. So.
Well, the thing is, you guys are missing out on the secondhand market, though.
Mm-hmm.
So, start flooding it with stuff. Maybe you'll Maybe you'll cash in on it.
Yep. And then, like, honestly, like, if that's the case, Nintendo's probably going to be looking to dominate Japan.
Yeah.
Like, what was it?
They
The last week's sales, like, or last month's top 10 in Japan, all top 10 were Nintendo.
Yeah.
All of them were. Like, that's insane. Like, that I have never thought I'd see the day like that. And that is insane. And the thing is, if that's dominating, you know a lot of people are going to be like, what's going on? Why is Nintendo just fully dominating Japan? Sony's supposed to be the big guy. They're supposed to be the cool people. They're supposed to be the ones in the know. And they're not right now. And everybody's going to start losing interest, even though they don't understand the context of what's happening.
Well, when you got these clone consoles where port across all three, but Nintendo isn't censoring anything, yeah, I'd go with Nintendo's. Azure Lane's been censored on the PlayStation. And then it came to them first. PC got it uncensored. And then the Switch got it uncensored.
And Nintendo even told people that they have a parental locks if you want to do anything about it. You have the tools. Do it. And so does Sony. But the thing is, Sony's now like trying to take a more initiative nanny role in all of that. You're just a game company. You sell toys. It is not up to you people to decide what other people do with their kids. That's just simple.
Leave my spicy wings alone. Jesus Christ. As a result of
Did I hear you want mango?
Spicy mango?
No.
I'm going somewhere else then. As a result of these feelings of abandonment, Sony sold less than 1 million PlayStation units in Japan across all of 2020.
Oh, Jesus.
Marking the worst sales number since the console line launched in '94. So
it's already selling worse than they originally launched the first PlayStation.
Holy shit.
Okay? That says a lot right there. That Japan's like, no, I want my big anime titties.
Yeah. Like
that's basically what they want. They are saying. Like, that's what they want. And Sony's like, no, you're gonna like our content, and you don't have to buy your content.
What does the PS5 even have? Because the only thing I really want on the PS5 is Demon Souls, but I'm like, maybe I'll just get a PS.
Well,
I already played on PS3.
Yeah, no, both systems. The problem is both systems are going to be flooded with ports right now and updated versions of their recently released games, because the development, even though it's easier to develop for, it still costs money.
Oh yeah.
And because of that, you're going to see less games developed, or less new games developed, and a lot more ports, a lot more enhanced ports, a lot more collector's complete editions, a lot more director's cuts, a lot more deluxes. You're going to see a lot more like this, and you're probably going to see more like that from Nintendo as well. You're going to see a lot of like these type of ports, because it's just simply, it's like crowdfunding without the actual crowdfunding.
Yeah.
Like, buy my old game on your new system, even though the game's been out only for 3 months, and buy it on the new system, so we can maybe potentially, hypothetically, develop the new game.
Which also reminds me about...
Which then we hope to sell more than just the port and the original release together, because that way we can make more money on making another new game that's going to take forever to develop for, because we keep trying to push the benchmarks. And I think that's where a lot of indies struggle on those two systems, even though, yes, there will be some that are successful. Like Shovel Knight will be successful wherever they go. But something like Kunai or Calico Cafe or whatever they call it, right? They're never going to.
Yeah.
They're okay games. They're fun games. But they're not ever going to go anywhere outside the immediate market that they have on systems like Sony and Microsoft, because when you're buying an Xbox and you're buying a PlayStation 5, you're gonna be inherently more driven to buy games that showcase the investment you've already made. Like, you're not gonna buy a PlayStation 5 and the first game you want to play is see how well the pixels are on Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
You're not going to.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. You're going to want something that showcases the power you just bought. And you're going to constantly want ones that keep pushing that level. That's just how it is. It's just inherent. You bought the PS5 to play the PS5 games.
Otherwise, your Lamborghini's just sitting in the garage.
Yeah. Basically. Or else your Lamborghini's just picking up groceries in the garage. You want to go on the Autobahn. Yeah. Basically. That's what you want.
Yeah.
That's why you bought it. You know, you want to go down and show it off. You want to go at places and show it off. You want to have a way to kind of... But if you're just going down the street to pick up groceries, there ain't a reason to have it.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, these markets, yes, they do sell sometimes. Like, you will see, like, some popular ones, and you notice, like, the ones that, like, become, like, huge hits somewhere, like Undertale. Mm-hmm. Undertale will sell everywhere.
Well, the thing is, I don't know why indie games always want that critical acclaim. Can't you just make a game and be good and be like, all right, here's the next one? Because you still need to work within your budget. Because a lot of the times, indie games or indie developers are just kind of like, oh, we didn't make $1 million.
Well, the problem with that too, like, I think, I forgot his name off the top of my head, but he made the songs, the games Never Song and Pinstripe. Mm-hmm. He talks about, like, 30% of your game, you selling your game is the game development.
Yeah.
And then the next 3 years is you selling the game.
Yeah.
So there's some people who go, oh, woe is us, we didn't make $1 million, but those people obviously make a lot of mediocre games if their focus is just trying to reach that $1 million.
Yeah.
Like, going back, the Atelier Ryza series, this recently sold like 500K. That's huge.
Yeah.
For that franchise. And that franchise has been around since the early 2000, early PS2 era.
Know your budget. Work on your budget.
If you can turn that around, it'll be good for you. Like the guy even said, like, I really need to look up his name. But he even said, like, you have about 3 years of it continuously providing profit or sales or income in some way once you release your game. But you have to get people to know that game exists.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it gets buried. Like, almost anything that releases on Steam every single day, even if it's a good game, unless it hits the right market, like Undertale, mm-hmm. Nobody else is going to go digging through the trash to find Undertale.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox is, even if you want good games and you already have your benchmark games, you're not going to dig through a bunch of pixel art nonsense to play this one other pixel art game unless you know specifically it was good.
Yeah.
You're not going to. Mm. And it's not even just pixel. It's just easy example. Like Torchlight 3. You're not going to dig around to find the spiritual successor to Diablo 2. Yeah. Unless somebody told you how good it was.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to, you're not going to play Titan's Quest. Mm-hmm. You're gonna find somebody that's actually popular. You're gonna find something that has a background. You're not gonna play Kunai when you could just play Bloodstained. They're both Metroidvanias. They have different types of examples of how to play that game and experiences how to play the game. But everyone knows Bloodstained, so you want to go play Bloodstained.
Yeah.
And that's how it is.
Dang. But right.
Yeah. No, that's my rant. But no, I think going way back on the rails again. Let's go ahead, reel it way back. The potential of the team, the talent of Japan Studio being bought up and hired by Monolith is pretty big. Like, what do you think they would probably pull off, or what do you even hope? What hope of talent that you think they should be getting, and what do you hope to see come to fruition if, in fact, they are doing the thing with Monolith Soft?
I just say don't go back to eat the hand that broke your teeth, because if they're gonna go back and do, if they're gonna make their own studios and make games, Don't go back to Sony.
Hey, remember Bloodborne? We're getting the old team back together again.
Oh
No, you're not.
So, I'm not saying don't burn bridges, but just be aware that you're going to be super restricted. Don't go back to them again because they're going to sign you on. You're going to be there for a year, and then they're going to restrict you for everything. You guys are going to hate it. At the very least, stick to PC, stick to Nintendo, maybe Microsoft. But Microsoft's been like super.
I don't think they'll go to Microsoft just because the market isn't there in Japan, and they want to make it like the games that are more focused on Japan with hopeful worldwide appeal. They already said that before, so I don't think they're going to team up with Microsoft anytime soon, unless Microsoft somehow gets an edge in Japan anytime soon, which not looking likely right now.
No, okay, but yeah, I don't know, man.
Well, what would you like to see, like, if Monolith Soft hired a bunch of these? Because Monolith is hiring right now.
Yeah.
So, what would you like to see get hired by Monolith Soft, and what would you like to see out of that hiring? Like, what if they're going to make a new project with this new hiring? What would you like to see?
Yeah, I'm not too sure actually. Another Xenoblade. A faster development of
Well, they're going faster.
Mobile Xenoblade.
50 chefs on one pot doesn't make instant soup good.
But it makes instant soup fast.
But you don't want fast soup. You want good soup. But no, I think it would be good on my end. I think it would actually be interesting if they took a lot of the artistic vision that Japan Studio had for stuff like The Last Guardian and stuff like that. I would like to see something akin to how Shadow of the Colossus looked and stuff.
Yeah.
Just more refined and such. I would like to see something of an adventure game similar with that type of style, and that would be that's I don't know what else to say. Just something like that. That would be really cool. Something that's different from the weird pseudo cel shading that the Xenoblade franchise is known for.
Well, I mean, they could also just like Sega didn't want to give Nintendo Bayonetta, so they just made Astral Chain, so it's not Bayonetta. Maybe we'll see not Shadow of the Colossus and not Last Guardian. You know?
I swear to God, if they make a Xenoblade label on that, I'm gonna hurt somebody. That would actually be pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, like I was just saying in terms of like the artistry, the weird abstract nonsense and stuff from The Last Guardian and Shadows of the Colossus. I would like to see something to that point.
Yeah.
Like that artistic vision, that artistic angle. I would like to see something like that into whatever they wanted to do.
The cool thing about like Last of Us and Last Guardian and no, not Last of Us, Shadow of the Colossus, The Last Guardian, and Ico is they're loosely based on each other. So
I don't know much about it because I remember playing Ico and not liking it. Too much, so I don't know the connection between all of them, so I can't say too much on that.
It's just the world's design are
there's a lot of similarities between Last Guardian and Shadow of the Colossus, so I wouldn't even bet an eye thinking that Ico has some kind of connections to that as well.
So if anything, Japan Studios could just make a game that looks like it, and you could kind of tie it together. So
I wouldn't try to. I honestly wouldn't try to tie anything to something with Sony after what they've done.
Okay.
Like it would be silly. I would say start from scratch.
Huh? Because the Shadow Colossus and Last Guardian was just kind of like, hey, can we make this a really cool game? And they so basically when Shadow of the Colossus came out, Sony kind of dragged their feet, kind of like I guess we could put it out. A lot of people liked it, and they're just kind of like, it didn't do well, so we're gonna scrap it. And then they made the PS3 remake, and it sold really well. And they're like, oh yeah, it was our idea. Yeah, we're gonna give you guys what you want. And we're gonna do a PS4 remaster because we were doing it for the fans. It's like, no, you guys were never behind it in the first place. You guys didn't even like it, and now look at them.
Mm-hmm. And I honestly, I think that's something that they could probably work on, like kind of like how Xenoblade is not necessarily Xenosaga, and you could tell, like, but you can also see the attributes of what helped make Xenoblade become Xenoblade.
Yeah. Well,
From,
I think
from their lessons that they learned from Xenosaga.
I think they're just super happy to get Cosmos and Telos back. Holy shit! Even in
I think only that they borrowed it, but they don't have it back. They were able to get their hands on it for a bit, but Namco still owns them. I'm pretty sure they were excited about that, so they're hopefully thinking that maybe people will see Xenosaga again. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Namco is way too scorned by it that they're willing to do another port. It'll be really shocking to see them ever do anything with that series.
just give them the characters back, guys. Holy
No, they make too much money off of merch. They make way too much money off of merch.
Nah.
Even though it's only to like the select few people who actually even know what Xenosaga is.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you 12 people, you want these 12 figures? Yes. Yes, we do. You gonna make a new game? Maybe, if you buy these figures.
Oh my god, the fucking carrot, yeah. Just dangling a carrot in front of the players. Yeah.
And they're still gonna keep doing it, because they're not gonna touch Xenosaga. They're not, like...
Just look at freaking Beyond Good and Evil. If you buy this game...
Yeah, and then they make this one other game that looks like Beyond Good and Evil, maybe, kind of, sort of closely.
Maybe it'll be just as good, or if you buy this game, though, we might make a Beyond Good and Evil sequel. Yeah.
No. I'm not buying into that. Ubisoft is... Honestly, I think that game's going to really hurt Ubisoft, because I don't see that game selling very well. Like, on any platform, honestly. Unless they refurbish it and make it to hit, like, the Switch and make it run on the Switch pretty smoothly, too. I don't think that game's going to run. I think that game, they're going to probably put it on the PS5 and the Xbox One. They're going to cancel the Xbox... not the Xbox One. They're going to... The Xbox Series X. They're going to cancel the Xbox One, cancel the PS4 version, and likely not say anything about the Switch version for a long while until people forget about it. And that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's exactly what's going to happen with that game. But yeah, no, the carrot thing is nonsense, but I don't think Namco's ever going to touch Xenosaga ever again. But I do think, going back to Monolith Soft, we're probably going to see something like Shadow Colossus and certain types of like artistic vision, like something very unique, very abstract and stuff like that. But not to a point where it actually hinders the original gameplay vision, because Nintendo still owns the majority share of Monolith.
Yeah.
So Nintendo's going to be like, we kind of still want to go this direction. So just go that direction. Don't do this weird thing you're doing. It's cool, but we've been going this way for the last year and a half. We just want you to make it look pretty.
Yeah.
Like, which is fair. But I could see them looking at doing some interesting Shadow Colossus style stuff.
Also, man,
years down the road.
Looking at Japan Studios office, that's so sad. They got the circle, square, triangle, X.
You mean there. Cross?
Yeah.
Cross? It's a cross.
In the cafeteria, like, damn, we gotta throw these out. Maybe they'll keep them, but...
Watch them try to make them look just like little paint of A, B, X, and Y.
Yeah.
And like just paint them all purple instead. And people are like, it's Super Nintendo buttons. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And pretend it never happened. Just leave them in the exact same spot that they've been in. And like some dude from the like ex-CEO like or COO whatever from Sony comes in and goes, aren't those ours? No. Like they're poorly painted on and stuff too. They're like, I'm pretty sure they're ours. No.
So do you think there's gonna be any other studios that'll be following a trend similar to this?
Within Sony?
Or just in general?
I would probably say something from Square.
Oh shit, yeah, you're right.
I actually I don't know. Like they're in a weird position. Like I think
Well,
they're still very like Japan centric. Like it's a very weird position, but they also have a lot of stuff from like EDOS and Crystal Dynamics and such that they can still like pump out.
Yeah.
But they also have that small B class studio, which I'm actually really excited about, the Tokyo RPG Factory.
Mm-hmm.
Like they haven't made bangers out there, but they've made games that have been pretty on point. They're pretty good. Like they're nothing exciting, and they just recently made them. You know, they just recently like created them. Not like maybe almost 10 years ago or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like they're not huge.
Okay.
And it's a small B class team, and they're just making some small RPGs. Liam Setsuna, Lost Sphere. I just started getting into Oninaki, which is actually really good.
Okay. Yeah,
like it's not gonna like blow anybody's socks off, but Oninaki is actually pretty good for like a weird action RPG type of game.
Yeah.
Kind of Diablo and such, but like more refined and simplified. So it's not a loot based game. But
it gives you something to do before you wait for a Final Fantasy 16. Like that's also another thing to where you're just like, give me something while you're waiting for the next AAA release. And
it's not, and that's something a lot of studios should actually consider.
Yeah.
Like period.
Yeah.
And it also like helps them kind of test the waters. If Oninaki just like blew it out of the water with a small game as it was, they would probably make sequels, and they'd be like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just really blow this like franchise up.
Yeah.
You know? But if it doesn't, you're not out money.
Well, even then though too, Square Enix just bring back your old IPs.
Just draw a bunch of belts on things. Call it. Well, no, Square is though. Square has they have Legend of Dragoon, Sony.
Guys.
You hear that, Sony?
And guys.
People just assume that it's for Square because they don't have hope in you anymore, Sony. They don't have hope in it at Legend of Dragoon because you've forgotten it. No, Legend of Mana. They just brought back Legend of Mana not too long ago and stuff. So they're doing that. I think they ported a couple of the Romancing Saga games.
Yeah.
I have Romancing Saga 3, so I know there's one. I don't know if there was more.
Yeah.
But they're revisiting a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So
Eve, please bring back Parasite Eve. I love the game. It was so ahead of its time.
I'm not sure if they will. Like it wasn't a huge success. Like I think the first one was, but I think the second one just blanked on them. I'm thinking they're like, if we try to bring this back, I am open for them to port the game.
Yeah.
Like if they're just gonna port the game, up-res it a bit so it doesn't look like absolute trash, just do that. Yeah. I'm okay with that. I am perfectly okay with that. But going back, I could see Sony, Square Enix, kind of leaving Japan a bit, but I don't see them ever going the same way Sony is. Just gonna start dumping studios and stuff. I could see them dumping some studios, but not many. I like Tokyo RPG Factory is still probably pulling some decent numbers for them. That's probably why they still have projects.
Yeah.
Crystal Dynamics obviously still makes Tomb Raider games. They're probably going to be making one not too long from now. They made a Hitman game. And they're working, obviously they have the Final Fantasy teams doing Final Fantasy things.
Yeah.
And then they have a couple small like teams from there. I'm pretty sure they probably hired a lot of talent from defunct companies that they did with the Square Enix initiative, where they were trying to like it was like a weird Steam Greenlight but with Square instead.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure they hired a lot of talent from that. So that's probably where some of the smaller studio kind of were birthed from. Yeah. So I don't know if there's going to be a huge company that's going to go full Western and standardized, globalized content. I could see Sega trying to pull that because Sega doesn't have much else to lose. They are selling some of the, like they've sold, and I think they are still selling some more of their arcade buildings.
Oh yeah. They got
I could see them. I could see them trying to do something that would be more globally accepted, so they could hit a broader audience. Thinking that that's going to get them out of the pan. Like I think that's what's going to happen because they're worried about getting cooked up.
Yeah.
That doing that, they'll probably be able to get out of the pan and try to get some profit going that they're just struggling with. Oh. And that tells me that maybe you should try to consider selling a certain studio before you do that.
Also seeing Japan Studios, Knack. Holy shit.
Is Knack part of that?
Yeah, they did Knack.
Huh.
It was so bland.
Oh my god, yeah. I didn't even think that they did Knack because how bland it was. Like, it didn't spark anything. It wasn't exciting.
I think that's probably where they're kind of headed, though. To where it's just kind of like...
Well, Gravity Rush was good, and Gravity Rush was about as recent as Knack.
Yeah.
So Gravity Rush wasn't too bad.
But man, I don't know. I guess we'll see where they go.
Yeah, we'll see. Like, I'm really curious if Monolith is going to get some of that talent and stuff, and what's going to be used if they do, because it seems like it's within that time frame.
Yeah.
So it's just a good time for them to, like, basically find greener pastures with like that. But I'm sticking with the bet that they're going to probably stay independent. You're going to see like 3 or 4 studios, easy.
Okay.
But going from that, since that was a big ass topic that we just had, this is probably going to be a little bit more shorter, but this is actually going to be something that recently came about too. The hollow realization that Nintendo is going to be removing Mario 3D All-Stars from the Nintendo Switch's eShop. It was declared that it was going to be limited, period, before it even released. Everyone had basically about roughly 6 to 7 months to pick it up. There is still boatloads on shelves right now if you want to try to pick it up physical.
I don't know why people are making such a big deal. It's only $60. It's only like, do I watch? I say this now, and then it's like, what? It's limited edition. Somebody's listening to this like 5 years from now. It's a $300 game. What's he talking about, right?
What? It's 2 Bitcoin. No, but honestly, like that's the thing. Like, you were like, I'll say this before I get too much into it deep. The practice is a little shady. Like, yeah. But that practice has been around for multiple studios, multiple companies, multiple like industries in general. Like, it wouldn't hurt somebody to make another unicorn flavored frappe past the promotion date.
Yeah.
It wouldn't hurt them to sell them again, you know, but they didn't. And Nintendo even told you that you had upwards to 7 months to get these games. And then they're going to start going on clearance. They're going to start going on clearance, and people are going to start buying them all up. And you're going to have a secondhand market. The thing is, there's a boatload out there that I do not think the demand's going to be that big. And as much as people keep panicking, like people need to see how much is on those shelves. Like, yeah. People are like, oh, well, once it's gone, they're going to just skyrocket. Dude, they printed out 3 times more of Mario 3D All-Stars than they ever printed of Xenoblade 2. Like, Xenoblade 2 only had a couple physical, and people could say, yeah, but you can still get it digitally. True. But you can still get it physically.
Yeah.
And trying to get it physically is demanding. And same thing with Mario 3D All-Stars. It'll be out there, but they have 3 times more in circulation. It'll be hard to convince anybody to pick it up at a much jacked up price shortly after it ends.
Yeah.
Like, it's just going to be harder to do.
Yeah.
Like, it was hard for people to, like, the scalpers who bought like 13 of them on pre-orders had a hard time selling them because so many are just going to come out. So you're going to see that, and it's not, I don't think it's going to raise in price until long after the Switch is gone.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, honestly, like the amount that's out there.
Yeah.
The amount that's still sitting on store shelves, even if they clearance it all out and get rid of it by April, there's going to be so much in the aftermarket circulating that they're all competing with one another. That's just not going to sell a single one of those at a much jacked up price. You'll probably see it for like $15 more, maybe, like reasonably.
Not if I can help it. I'm buying them all. I'm buying them all.
But that's the thing with like the cards and stuff, going all the way back to the card reference that we had earlier today, is the reason why so many want these card packs for hundreds and $200s and stuff is because it's hard to find, because COVID limited people's ability to print these things.
Yeah.
So there's smaller amounts, smaller batches, which make them harder to find, which make them more lucrative, which then make them more demanding, which makes them increased in price. Mario 3D All-Stars is huge everywhere. Not to mention the fact that even on top of the stuff that exists right now, Mario 3D All-Stars still sold multiple millions worldwide. So there is millions out there on top of the thousands that are still existent on store shelves right now in the US alone. Lord knows how many there are out there in Europe, and how many are out there in Japan. It's a region unlocked system. You can literally have to order from anywhere. So it's going to not be that hard to get.
Yeah.
The thing is, the people who are complaining, I feel like they're complaining out of convenience. It's, woe as me, I was expecting to be there all the time until I felt ready. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Because you were given 7 months. You know what else came in 7 months and sold a shit ton? And I'm pretty sure a lot of these people complaining bought at least 1 or 2 of them out. Pikmin 3 Deluxe, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Animal Crossing, The Last of Us 2. Like, all these games came out that were like $60. And they still bought those.
Yeah.
You know, and then they're still complaining, oh, well, these old games were too much. You had the ability. Don't buy one game, buy that one. Because that one game, Final Fantasy 7, The Last of Us, Pikmin 3, they're going to be around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some of those games are fucking Nintendo.
Yeah.
That stuff still is going to sit on that shelf until long after the Switch dies. So it's definitely one of those things, like, you had 7 months to decide on prioritizing. And if you had, like, there's been a couple examples. If you had, like, people are saying, well, we had to prioritize life. I had to prioritize my life choices. Cool. Then you shouldn't have a regret doing that. Yeah, did it suck that you had to get gas and pay rent and blah, 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 blah? Yeah. But you now have rent paid and have all this other stuff accomplished. If you regret not doing that over being Mario All-Stars, then you regret taking that choice. But you should be well paid off and stuff, so you shouldn't have that issue.
Well, if anything, too, I think maybe if we're lucky, because you see these high-res versions of all 3 Marios, maybe this one's going to get discontinued, but later down the line, we're going to get a regularly released of revised Mario games. I don't know. Nintendo's pretty good about
I can see. Do, so. I know they've had a habit of doing this before. They did it with the Kirby Celebration. They did it with a Mario Anniversary Celebration. Both on the Wii. Yeah. Both I do have. Mm-hmm. Both very limited. But they were on the shelves for a while too, long after the fact. Yeah. Like they were. Like, well, they were supposed to be gone, and they were sitting on the shelves until they were clearanced out.
I guess there was that Zelda double disc.
Yeah. Too, well, that was a promo though. That was much different. The Master Dungeon one and stuff, that was definitely a promo.
Oh, okay.
That was for people who pre-ordered the game and all that. Like, they only made as many as people were pre-ordering. Like, it was not mass produced like Mario was. Oh, okay. And it was on the shelf for a while. Yeah. Like, all they were. But the thing is, so Nintendo does have a history of it. Nintendo does. But I wouldn't put it past them where they would put that thing on a online-only Switch Online service afterwards. Like a year from now.
Yeah.
It's within the realm of possibility. That way, kind of like, if you want to play these classic Mario games, get the Switch Online for service, and you get to play these now.
Yeah.
But you don't get to own them, basically. You know, kind of like the SNES Online and the NES Online and stuff like that. You don't own any of those games. Yeah. The moment you stop your subscription is the moment they stop being provided to you. I could see that as a possibility. Okay. But I don't see anything to a point where somebody can theoretically own them digitally.
I'm surprised they haven't made amiibos of these yet. Holy shit.
Well, it's because they don't function that way. Like if those why have like I would love them. That would be great because I like amiibos, but it would just be too much. And on top of that, retailers don't want to hold on to so much amiibo anymore.
No,
like they're trying to reduce Funko now.
Oh, okay.
Because Funko's just everywhere. So, but no, that's honestly like it's happened before.
Yeah. Well, one thing is I'm okay with this. If we get more collections of other games, I'll shut my mouth. If we get like a Kirby triple pack on its anniversary, and then
what games? What games would be on the Kirby one?
I don't know.
I don't know.
When Kirby hits its anniversary, and then Metroid
Kirby Air Ride, Kirby 64, and yes, Kirby Return to Dreamland. That's what the Wii one was.
Yeah. So,
I don't know. I'd buy that. I'd buy that. But I'm also a Kirby bastard, so that's how that works.
But if they make these All Stars collection pack every anniversary, I mean, okay, I'm fine with that.
But that does become a problem because then as much as I do say, hey, it is limited and stuff. If they're doing each one of these, they're going to be doing a lot more of these limited edition things that are just limited in availability for everyone. And as much as they did, like I said, they did print them out, they're just doing way more of them to a point where it won't even register that it's even worth it anymore.
No, okay.
So they'll probably do it for Zelda. They'll probably do it for Mario. I do not see them doing that remotely. Like, Pokemon's not doing it. Like, if Pokemon came out and was, here's a red, blue, yellow, gold, silver Pokemon from like Game Boy Color and Game Boy. You can play these on the Switch, on a physical cart. All 6 of them on the cart. You can play any of them. Can't trade any of the Pokemon though, but you can trade with other people who have that cart.
Okay.
People would probably buy it. In fact, actually, no. I'll do it in one better. What if they revised it so you can use Pokemon Home on those ones? So you could literally play the old Pokemon. The people who even growing up with Pokemon now can play the old games and have the ability to get the old Pokemon, transfer them to Pokemon Home, and be able to use them on the new Diamond and Pearl and Sword and Shield and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That would actually be a good selling point.
People will want to remake anyways, right?
Well, they are getting a remake. Kiss me. They could kiss my ass. But, basically, like, I could see them doing that.
Yeah.
Like, it would be, honestly, I don't see them actually doing that, but I could see them, like, if that was a potential, I could see that happening. But for right now, I do not see them doing anything like that, even though it would be smart. Like, I don't know. Money smart.
Just give me a Game Boy Advance collection pack. Holy shit.
Dude, I'm just... you say this, but I'm the only one over here just like, hey, I'm okay with getting an F-Zero, okay? Just any of them. Just port it.
Yeah.
I'll buy it. Please. Play Codename Steam. But no, I could, like, if they did it with a lot of people, with a lot of other ones, it would be, I don't know. I think it would just be bad business to a point where it just feels dirty.
Yeah.
Whereas when they're doing it once or twice, it's just a weird, shady practice at that point.
Okay.
But if they're doing it constantly, then you don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, what should I be confronting on? Because that'd be overwhelming for most normal people.
Yeah, I mean, you would get a crash too, which reminds me about like when comic books did that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's a limited shiny cover.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's another limited shiny cover.
Well, cards did that too.
Yeah.
Cards did that for a while, and then that's when like everything collapsed and like people stopped really collecting them because it fed off their addiction, and now that lockdowns came in and people needed to revisit their hobbies and stuff, they found the addiction back again, and that's where a lot of this like current wave of demand for cards, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, sports cards and stuff like that. That's where we're seeing a lot from, and that's dangerous. And I don't think Nintendo hopping on board with that would be a very smart idea. Doing it for just about every fucking thing that comes their way.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna be seeing a 10-year anniversary of Splatoon eventually.
Yeah.
Like, that's not that far away. We're already halfway from Splatoon 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
In 2022 would be 5 years from Splatoon 2.
Oh wow.
Yeah. See? Feeling old now, right?
Yeah.
But that says
You're
a lot.
no longer a kid now, right? You're a squid now.
But that's the point, right?
Yeah.
And then now we're like, well, we had that. What about other ones? Well, we got ARMS. We're like, no, we want something more exciting. If Nintendo knew that, they'd have already made it.
Mm.
They don't just go, no, I'm just gonna go ahead and make this boring ass game called Sniper Clips. You want that? No? Okay. Like, they're not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, that's why, like, some of their smaller studios got sequels to some of their games because it sold enough.
Yeah.
But it was never, a rock, just blowing out there, a rockin' hit or anything.
Well, even Pokemon was kind of like, sure, we'll give it a try. And they're like, oh, crap. Yeah.
Yeah. And Pokemon just everywhere. I'm like, oh, shit. Like, that's definitely something that's going on. But I'm glad that Nintendo always tries new IPs all the time. Yeah. I'm actually really curious if Retro's other IP outside Metroid Prime 4 is ever gonna come into the light and we can see what it is.
Nope. Never.
No. It's now Metroid Prime 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8.
Well, didn't they buy Retro Studios though?
Yeah, they own them.
Yeah, own them. Just give it Metroid Prime 5 and it's gonna be the Metroid Studio. Yeah.
It already
Metroid
is. That's the way people are complaining about. They complained that it wasn't retro when Metroid Prime 4 was announced. Yeah. Like, oh, we don't want that. Harumph.
but
and they hated the idea that they hated the sheer idea that Retro would be doing a Donkey Kong Country game, a third one. Mm-hmm. Like, why? We don't need that one. Look how close the last one came up. I'm like, dude, there was a longer length of time between the first and second one than there was all 3 Metroid games. Like, stop. But I do see them probably porting the Metroid Prime trilogy from the Wii to the Switch within a year's time. Okay. Before we start seeing a lot more on Metroid Prime 4.
I just want something with Joy-Con controls. At least we're getting Skyward Sword. Like,
well, there's actually Joy-Con controls like that in Captain Toad.
Oh, okay.
There is actually, and it's actually pretty. It's actually pretty functional too. Mm-hmm. Like, once you wrap your head around the resetting buttons and stuff like that, it works very well.
Okay.
The only problem is if you put it in portable mode, you're using touchpad stuff to do the things, and you're kind of forced that way.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, it plays very well. But yeah, no, that seems like all what we have today. I want to thank you all for listening, and if you like what we have, go ahead and share it with everyone else, and see if anybody else enjoys it. So. This is Paraka and
Ghost, and thank you for listening.
And you guys have a great day.